So how do you follow that? Well, you follow it with the women's doubles here between the Danish pair of Kruse and M.Roepke up against the women's double pair from Mexico of Cynthia Gonzalez and V.Montero. First meeting between these four players. There's the Mexican pair of Gonzalez and Montero up against the world number 25s. It was such an enthralling contest just now on court with that 27-25 victory. It's kind of starting again, but everyone's still wrapped up on what's just happened with Kevin Gordon's victory.
Yes, I mean, it really was sensational. I mean, I don't know what the odds were with the bookies and him winning that match. It must have been long odds, but my goodness, what a superb performance. But
and what a shock, really. I mean, you know, we've lost the number 5 seed in the men's singles.
Yes, and everybody's been talking about his supposed quarter-final clash with the world number 1, Lee Chong-wei, and was the Malaysian world number 1 going to be able to cope with Chen Long? Well, you know, those are questions that don't have to be answered now because we've got, he's out of the equation. But this women's doubles, I'm going to be very interested to see this Danish pair, how they're progressing as a pair, because they're relatively new together. You can see that their career win-loss record, 20-9, and as you can see from 2011, very few matches last year. Basically, they've only played together for less than 12 months. And already in the world rankings up to 25.
Which suggests they've had a pretty impressive 2011. They've beat the number 1 pair at the time at the of Cheng and Chien of Chinese Taipei. And they've gone 3 sets against Wang and Yu of China. So they've got the pedigree to be able to play against the top players in the world. And here they are now against the Mexican duo of Gonzalez and Montero. And they'd be expecting to come through this because Gonzalez and Montero, as we've seen, just one victory all of 2011 so far. Those, of course, in the top ranking events, isn't it? I think that we're looking at there because, of course, they have won some of the minor events elsewhere in the world.
Yes, well, I had thought that they had reached the final of one tournament this year, but
yeah, they won the tour near Girardilla earlier this year in March.
Yeah.
So they've actually won that, but whether that counts as a top-ranking BWF event, another matter. But a win's a win, isn't it? Wherever you are in the world.
Absolutely. And just to explain that, there are certain events that don't count towards world ranking. For instance, the Asian Games at the end of last year in Guangzhou in China. Asian Games don't count towards world rankings, the BWF World Rankings. So there are events that don't count, but most BWF sanctioned events, or all BWF sanctioned events do, of course, count.
Kruse and Laurens Bester are the 2 main officials for this match.
Yes, Richard, just picking up on your point about the Danes and their victory over the then world number 1s, Chen Wen-Sing and Chen Yu-Jin. That was in the quarter-final of the All England Championships, and then in the semi-final they lost to the pair who are now the number 1 in the world, Wang Xiaoli and Yu Yang. And for them to come through to the semi-final of the All England, they were actually in the qualifying draw. And they in fact got a bye in the qualifying, but they were officially qualifiers into the main draw. And then they reached the semi-final. It was absolutely extraordinary. And, you know, during the last match, Morten and I have been talking about how players have to believe they can win. And what really impressed me at the All England with this Danish combination was their belief. They said, OK, we're a new pairing. We're not frightened of anyone. And they beat the then world number 1s. And I thought their attitude was so good. And that's what was so impressive in our last match we've just witnessed.
On my right, L.Damkjaer, M.Roepke, Denmark. And on my left, Cynthia Gonzalez and V.Montero, Mexico. L.Damkjaer Kruse to serve to V.Montero. Le ball, play.
Well, the last match has shown us that looking at the world rankings doesn't mean necessarily where the winner's coming from, but you'd fancy the Danes to come through this clash. And they've taken the first point.
1-love.
Finds the line.
Service over. 1-all.
I think something that's very interesting
Service over.
to me
2-1.
is the fact, you know, we've just watched Kevin Corden from Guatemala. We've got a young pair from Mexico in the women's doubles. They're both just 19 years of age.
3-1.
You know, and it's interesting to me how the American continent is progressing in badminton terms and how all their players are improving so much. It's a great experience for two 19-year-olds to fly halfway across the world and play in these World Championships.
And they come in the knowledge that they are the champions on from the Central American and Caribbean Games as well, which is their big local event.
5-1.
But already it's a fairly healthy lead in this opening game for Roepke and Kruse.
Olsen
And your pass.
L.Damkjaer, two Danish coaches.
Pass. Yes. Everything inside the box. Okay.
A little bit of housekeeping there from the umpire. Got to be neat and tidy.
Been pretty impressive so far, haven't they, the Danes?
Yeah.
They're not making it really any errors, not letting the Mexicans into any of the points. Having said that, there's an unforced error just wide.
Service over.
Yes,
2-7.
Of course, M.Roepke, a very famous mother in badminton terms.
Service over.
Puts a lot of expectation and pressure on her as a player. Of course, her mother, Nina Kopen, who won 2 gold medals at the first ever World Championships in Malmo back in 1977. Her mother won a few All England titles in this very arena as well.
3-8.
Well, wouldn't be surprised if she's here somewhere, but that can either act as a spur or sometimes it can be a weight on a child's shoulders, can't it?
Very much so.
4-8.
In fact, there's very few top sports people who have managed to emulate or do better than their famous parents in the same sport.
5-8.
Damon Hill, I suppose, in Formula 1.
Well, if you're looking at Danes, certainly Kasper Schmeichel hasn't quite lived up to his more famous father, Peter Schmeichel, in the goalkeeping department.
Johan Cruyff and his...
Geordie, yeah. But M.Roepke, my understanding here with Kruse, has certainly shown some promise, hasn't it, in its early stages of their partnership.
Yes, their world ranking this week up 1 place to 25 in the world, and they've only got 9 tournaments towards that world ranking. And obviously the optimum number of tournaments is 10 to get a realistic world ranking. So when they've achieved those 10 tournaments after this week, almost certainly their ranking will go up once again.
Well, the current parent-child maybe is the Broads at cricket. Stuart's doing pretty well at the moment. A nice hat-trick last week.
Colin and Chris Country?
We could go on, couldn't we? Answers on a postcard, or I should say via email nowadays.
Goal.
Oh, goodness me.
Just hit it, didn't it?
Yeah.
Service over. 6-8. 10.
11-6 the lead at the interval.
11-6 interval.
Så gerne lige investere på det, hvor man lige får flyttet den, hvor man lige får lagt den helt langt. Så er det godt, at få din clear med i begangen her. Gerne en enkelt mere eller to.
Joe, I know you're trying to tune in on what was being said there. You were able to pick up the odd bit of Danish, aren't you?
Yeah, I think she was trying to say, look, you don't have to force it too much.
20 seconds.
Move them at the back of the court and you will get your opportunities. Obviously, she feels, and you know, looking at these two pairs now, I think that the Danes are very much physically stronger than their opponents, and therefore they don't have to try and force things, they don't have to try and take chances. They've just got to keep it simple and move their opponents, and they will win the rallies.
We talked about the South American, Pan American,
12,
and the lift they had from the last match with Kevin Corden. Of course, as far as Europe's concerned, Denmark certainly waving the flag best, aren't they? And the highest hope of getting a medal probably is from their camp.
Most definitely. I mean, they've got the number 3 seed in the men's singles, Peter Gader.
Service over.
Tina Rasmussen, as she was now,
7,
Tina Born,
12.
is seeded in the women's singles. They've got the number 2 seeds in the men's doubles. And so without question, the biggest chance of a medal from a European nation lies with the
Service
Danes.
over. 13-7.
Play at the net from Kruse.
14-7.
Yeah, great interception.
Seven.
Oh, that's lovely. What a super angle.
16-7.
Kruse playing the cross court. Look how she was beautifully on balance as she played the shot.
Service over. 8-16. Nine, 16.
One thing I would suggest is, as
17,
far as this
9.
young pair from Mexico are concerned, that if they want to really progress in world terms, I think they've really got to learn the backhand serve. I can only think of one world-class doubles player that
10,
uses the
17.
forehand serve, and that's Dwala Gutta from India.
Service over. 18-10.
We'll see Dwala Gutta a little later on. She's on
19,
in the women's
10.
doubles. Shwini Panapa. But this has been fairly straightforward so far for the Danes.
Service over. 11-19. Oh. 12-19.
Easily put away by Cynthia and Gonzalez.
Service over, 20. Game point, 12.
It's 8 game points. And just 10 minutes old.
Game.
So 21-12.
First game, won by L.Damkjaer Kruse and M.Roepke, 21-12.
Well, after the intensity, after the drama and the excitement of the men's singles match, this game kind of suffering in comparison, which really is a little unfair, but the job is being done fairly impressively by Kruse and Roepke.
Yes, indeed. And of course, they will have not necessarily been in the arena here while that men's singles was going on, but they will have heard, because they would have been warming up in the just back area, backstage as it were here, and they will have been very aware of the excitement and so on. And it's quite difficult for players, because you look at the draw and you see when the match prior to your match is going on court, and you sort of look at it, and they probably thought Chen Long will win in 2 straight games, maybe 40 minutes, and you know, it was much longer than that. And
they probably had half an hour standing behind the black curtain there, ready to get coming on, just in case, you know.
Yeah.
As you said, it was done in 2 straight games.
Yeah, and therefore it is quite difficult, because emotionally they will have been up for it for quite a long time. But I think the Danes, I mean, they are a pair that's got enormous potential. We've seen that already in them reaching the semi-final of the All England, and you know, they're both very experienced players. They're not particularly old.
23, both of them, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, they'll have played a lot of tournaments. I remember R64 at the last World Championships was supposed to be playing with Lina Freya Christiansen, and actually withdrew from the tournament. But they've got a lot of experience, so they will have dealt with that situation better.
And I hope I haven't given sport the illusion for too many people by saying they were standing behind the black curtain waiting to come on and hadn't come through 10 Downing Street. I think you realise it's just a facade.
1 love.
Nice play.
Service over, 1 all.
Good little push, aimed towards the mid-court area, just enough pace on it to get it past the net player.
Service over, 2-1. Service over, 2-all.
It's a good angle.
4-2.
Roepke really waiting on her backhand defence, surprised by the shot down her forehand side.
Service over, 3-4.
Well, in case they thought it was just going to be cruise control, I think the early points of this game have just given the Danes a little bit of a kick up the backside.
4-all.
As you say, they're well ranking Roepke and Kruse is 25, but really that's a false ranking in some respect. And of course it's Matsuo Naito for the next of Japan. the number 7 seeds. Would you fancy their chances
6,
of
4.
giving them a good game?
Yes, I do.
I thought you might.
Very much so. I'm looking forward to it because I think that's on our television court tomorrow.
Yes. I mean, given the ability, given what they achieved at the All England, you know, and we're talking about a very good pair, of course, in Matsu and Nato, but you should see some very good badminton with those 4 on court.
Definitely. For me, one of the pick of the day, I would think.
You just never know what's going to turn up, though, do you? I mean, who would have picked out
No, exactly.
Chen Long and Kevin Corden as the game of the day, you know?
Yeah. That's the beauty of sport. You never know what's going to happen.
If it was all just simple and straightforward and that, you know, the best players won every game, then we wouldn't bother watching, really, would we?
No. Yeah, this is what Coach Ulrika Olsen was saying. Yeah, don't be afraid, just work your opponents at the back, keep lifting, keeping it to the back, wait for your opportunities. That's well played.
Well, she's a tall girl, isn't she, Cynthia Gonzalez? She's not easy to play it over. She's got great reach.
Service over.
Much better when you play it down to her feet, though. Not so easy to get to that. Very nice shot from Kruse, and you could say it's Kruse control right now for the Danes. Into the interval with an 11-6 advantage, having taken the first game, of course, 21-12. Should explain why you understand a little bit of Danish. I mean, apart from your obvious linguistic abilities.
Yes, I used to have a Danish partner, Stine Fladberg, and he and I played together for many years on the World Badminton Tour.
11-6.
So more of the same, I would have thought, would have been the feeling for the interval there from the coach to
absolutely
the girls.
But she was, I think she was also saying, you know, don't take it too easy, and don't lose your focus. That you've got to, you know, although you're feeling it's quite easy, and yes, you will just be patient, and you will get the opportunities to win the rallies.
Because I think at the start of this game, when they were 4-2 down, there was a little lack of concentration.
Yes.
A little less intensity in their play.
7-12. Service over. 13-8. Service over. 9-13.
This is the sort of thing that Coach Ulrika Olsen won't be too happy about. That was a sloppy shot.
Service over.
Rikke Olsen, incidentally,
14-9.
probably one of the most unlucky players in world badminton. 3 times she lost a bronze medal playoff match in Olympic Games.
Sometimes that's the hardest pill to swallow, isn't it? At least when you lose a final, you get a silver, but when you lose the bronze medal, there's nothing to take home apart from your memories.
Well, and I have to say, not that I played bronze medal playoff in the Olympics, but I have played that in major games such as Commonwealth Games. And the most difficult matches of my life, because if you're in a semi-final, you've got to believe that you were in a chance with winning the gold and being in the final. So you've got the most crushing disappointment that you've lost that semi-final, and the very next day you have to pick yourself up and try and salvage something from it when you're just feeling absolute devastation, and that emotionally
16-9.
is the hardest matches I've ever had to play. And poor old Rikke Olsen, yeah, 3 times in Olympic Games, 4th. Crushing. But she's a lovely lady, still very happy, and
Thankfully she's moved on.
yes.
Well, they've always kept themselves at arm's length, haven't they, the Danes here from the teenage Mexican duo.
Yeah, it's good play. Good low serve.
18-9.
Rack it up ready to intercept the 3rd shot. Serve, return and 3rd shot, absolutely crucial in doubles. It sets the whole tone of the rally. Nicely done.
19-9.
Almost there now.
Service over. 10-19.
Very
Service over.
quickly dispatched to bring up those match
point
points.
10.
Simple, straightforward, efficient. 21-12, 21-10. It's Lina Kruse and M.Roepke through to round 2. There wasn't necessarily a huge gulf between these pairs, but
21-12,
they didn't really make too many mistakes, did they, Kruse and M.Roepke? And as we said already, it sets up a fascinating second round with Matsuo and Nato, doesn't it?
Yes, it certainly does. Yeah. This is tradition with the Danish players now. It's the Danish fans, loyal fans that follow them all over the world.
Yeah, there's a big Danish flag amongst the crowd near court 1. So a very good performance from Kruse and Roepke. All smiles, all laughs. There'll be tougher tests ahead, particularly tomorrow against that Japanese pair.